Hey everyone, it's Kaycienikole, and today's practice, we're going to focus on how to open up the body in preparation for splits. Now, splits, we can talk forward and back splits, or we can talk about wide splits. What we'll focus on today will incorporate a little bit of both to help you feel more open and prepared to get into these positions. I would recommend having 2 blocks just in case, especially if you have tight hips and hamstrings. These can be great options to help create more space. Otherwise, just your body and your mat, your breath, and we're good to go. Let's start off in a seated position. We're going to establish a little bit of breath work, and then we'll move right on in. So from whatever seat you're in, close your eyes, lift your spine as tall as you can, all the way through the crown of your head. And exhale, let all of your breath out. Through the nose, begin to breathe in, expand all the way from the belly up to the chest, all the way around the torso, fully expanded, hold at the top, and then open up the mouth and let it all go. Again, slow inhale, belly all the way up to the chest, slowly and gradually expanding in all directions. And once you're completely filled up, hold at the top. Keep the breath through the nose this time. Exhale just to slowly melt the breath back out from top to bottom. One more here. Inhale, slowly filling up, expanding out, around, lifting to the top of the breath. Holding here briefly. And then through the nose, slowly melt from the top back down, cinching back into the midline. Now relax a little bit of effort over your breath, but we will still maintain a nice fluidity in the breath. If at any point you feel that you're holding it, you've probably gone a little too far. So let your breath be your guide into the practice today. Go ahead and gently blink open your eyes. We're going to warm up by loosening through the hips and the lower back, which will help to provide more space for our pelvis to move throughout the practice. The pelvis can make a world of difference in how we experience these stretches and openers to help us prepare for split position. So with hands cupped over the knees, let's take a deep breath in. And exhale, chin to your chest, tail tucks, round your back. Feel that curling, that flexion. And then inhale, scoop your heart forward and up. Feel the chest lifting, the sit bones drawing back. And then exhale, rounding again, curling. Feel the tipping of your pelvis as it tucks under. Inhale, heart lifts forward and up. Feel your sit bones pull back. And just go ahead and take a couple more on your own. Really emphasize the pelvic movement. We will be connecting to our pelvis as we move into some of these postures and just getting a feel for how it moves to help prepare. Now, when you're ready, let's make our way back into a nice neutral spine. We're going to make our way to a tabletop position, coming onto hands and knees, however you would like to get here. So I'm going to start with the left leg. That way you have more visibility for what we're getting into here. So as you're in tabletop, take your left leg and kick it out directly to the left side. So it's directly to the side of your hip. And the foot is going to plant here, toes spun slightly forward. And we're just going to start rocking back and forward. You're just kind of sinking forward and back to feel the movement in your hip. Move nice and slowly. It doesn't have to be one breath, one motion. Spend your time just easing into the joints. You can also walk your hands a little forward and back to help assist in this movement if that feels good. Take about 1 or 2 more rounds here, deeply breathing. Okay. Now, when you're ready, stack the hips right over that right knee again. And this time we're going to walk the hands in and come all the way up into a gate position. So we are going to reposition this left leg. So we're going to walk the foot in a little bit until we can bend the knee 90 degrees, knee right over the ankle. And now instead of having the toes pointing forward, we're going to open them directly out to the side. Okay, so everything opens directly to the side of that left hip. And then from here, take one hand to the front of the hips, one hand to the back. We're going to really focus on the pelvic movement to help go deeper into the hip opening. So imagine your back hand is trying to push your glutes down. You can almost imagine a slight tuck of the tail. You don't have to overemphasize, but the more you do, the more you're going to feel an opening through the front of the right hip. So as the tail reaches down, the front hip points are lifting up towards the belly button. Now you might already feel enough right here. Otherwise, start to kind of bend into the left knee. You could either come in and out, easing in with a more dynamic type of movement, or if it feels good, just to settle in and be still, sitting with it and focusing on the breath, you can do this as well. Couple more breaths wherever you are. And then let's pull the hips back. Now, if you need your hands down for extra assistance, you can. Otherwise, we're going to walk the foot around so it's at more of a diagonal angle. So it's not directly to the side. It's not directly in front of you. It's in that in between. Make sure that the knee and the toes are pointing in the same direction. Now, from here, we're going to stay in this shape. Tail reaches down or a slight tuck. You can use your hands if that helps. If you can just do it without the hands, hands can rest anywhere you want. But you're going to keep that pelvis nice and neutral, lengthening down and lifting up through the hip points. And then start to bend into the left knee. Same options, either dynamic movement in and out, or just settle in and feel your breath. Continue to feel the tail wrapping down and under slightly. It's really easy to just collapse into your lower back. So that lengthening down through the tail is what's going to help you to really keep that neutral pelvic positioning more stable through the core, more supported through the lower back, and directs the stretch even deeper into the front of the right hip. Last breath here. Now pull the hips back if they shifted in. You're going to take the hands down either to the floor or to your blocks. The higher the blocks, the more lift you get away from the ground. So take it wherever it feels best for you. Now, with that foot out at that diagonal, you're going to follow the angle, heel toe the foot forward until you can roll up onto the heel and straighten out the leg. Once again, if you're having trouble straightening the leg with your hands down, take your hands up higher to provide more space to straighten out the leg. Okay. Now with the leg nice and straight and slightly off to the side, lengthen the spine, take a deep breath in, chest pulls forward. Stay here, or you can lower your arms closer to the ground, maybe walk the hands forward, maybe one forearm to the floor, maybe both. Listen to your body here. Couple more breaths. And then slowly come back up onto the hands. What we're going to do from here is we're going to wiggle that foot back in until we can rebend into the knee. And then we're going to walk it around to the front of the mat. Hands now to either side. So now you want those front toes pointing forward, the front knee pointing forward, directly in front of your left hip. So from here, let's walk the hands all the way up onto that top leg again. We're going to pull the hips back so that they're stacked above the back knee. So if you're really far forward, pull the hips back, stack over the back knee. You can adjust the front foot as much as you'd like. Now from here, if you want the hands to the front of the back of the pelvis, you could do that. Otherwise, hands rest anywhere. Tail lengthens down or a slight scoop under. Front hip points lifting up. From this position, you can stay as you are if this is enough, or bend a little bit into that front knee. You shouldn't have to move very far in this one. And sometimes the farther we drop into it, the more we start to collapse into the lower back. So really be mindful that the tail continues to lengthen down, keeping the pelvis in this nice neutral shape. Couple breaths. Now lower your hands all the way down, hands to either side of the foot. We're going to add in an extra little movement here. Keep your right hand down, open up your ribs and chest. Left hand can come to your hip, can come to the knee, or it can stretch up towards the ceiling, your choice. You can stay here, or you can take a bend into the back knee and catch the foot if that feels good. You can let your hips sink forward and down. Take a breath or two, no matter what variation you're in. And then with control, release that foot back to the floor if it's lifted, and take your top hand down, frame that front foot again. Now we're going to take the front foot, walk it forward, heel toe, a couple inches until once again you're able to roll up onto the heel, toes pull back, and leg is straight. Use your blocks if you need more space, or if you want more space. If it feels good to have blocks, grab them. Now from here, imagine that your tail's now reaching back. And as you feel the lengthening of your tail back, you're going to notice how it creates extra space and length into the back of the hamstrings. The more you reach through the heel and pull the toes back, the more you're going to get length into the calf muscles and into the Achilles. So let's keep that. Inhale, lengthen your chest forward. You might be able to just stay here and feel the sensation just fine. If you want to go deeper, you can hinge over the leg. Hands can walk out. Maybe drop your forearms to blocks or to the ground. And just feel it out here. Try not to just curl your back, but feel your tail reaching back and lengthening your chest away from the hips. Give yourself a few breaths. Now, if this is enough, stay here, okay? Otherwise, if you want to work towards split on this side, with or without blocks, I like blocks because they just provide extra space. You're going to take your front foot and you're going to wiggle the heel forward while keeping your hips squared forward in front of you. Don't let your hips start to turn out to the side, okay? Wiggle that front foot forward, slide it forward until you feel the level of depth. So maybe your hips sink all the way to the ground. Maybe there's a gap of space. You can also place a block underneath that gap of space, right underneath your left sit bone for a little added support, if that feels like it's the right height for you. If you're further out of it, that's okay too. Just go where you are, hands at the blocks, or use blocks for support, however you'd like. Once again, we're not sliding it so far forward that the hips turn off to the side and the back leg kind of kicks off. Notice how the top of my foot turned out to the side versus when my hips are square, the top of my foot is resting down on the ground. So wherever you are, lift your spine. Stay here or fold forward over the front leg. Take it to the variation that serves you. Give yourself a few breaths. I'll also give you one more option if you're in a full split. Maybe walk the hands in and lift the arms all the way up. One more breath. If the arms are up, bring the hands back down. Now from here, we're going to pull the hips back, wiggle that front foot back in until we can bend the knee and step it back. Shake out the legs and notice how much more open your left side feels in comparison to the right side. So I'm going to change directions on my mat just so you can see better, but stay where you are. Okay. Once you're done kind of shaking and recalibrating, we're going to go into the other side. Bring a little balance back. So from tabletop, let's kick the right leg directly out to the right side. Once again, toes are pointing forward, and we're just going to ease into the hips a little bit here. So start to sink back and come forward, and just do a handful of rounds here on your own, easing into the hips. You can do the same thing. Maybe walk the hands forward and back to help assist with the movements. Couple more. And as the hips come back to neutral, stacking over the left knee, we're going to walk the hands up, come all the way up. And then we're going to walk that foot in until we can bend the right knee, toes now pointing directly off to the side, knee and toes pointing in the same direction. Okay, so from this position, maybe use the hands, maybe do it on your own. Tail reaches down, front hip points lift up, and then we're going to start to bend into that right knee. Either stay here, nice and still, tail lengthening down, or ease in and out. Whatever calls to you, but make sure you're moving with integrity if you're moving, or holding with integrity if you're just holding in that shape. Let's take about one more breath here. Hips pull back up to center. Hands can drop down if you want a little added stability. Otherwise, let's walk the foot to that diagonal. Knee and toes point in the same direction. Tail reaches down, front hip points lift up. Either hold with your hands or hands rest anywhere that's comfortable, and start to bend into the right knee. Maintain that nice pelvic positioning. And same options, either stay still, breathing, and just feel that opening, or start to ease in and out. In and out. Choose what feels good for you. One more deep breath. Slowly pull the hips back to stack over that back knee. Hands come down. Hands can be at the floor or bring them up onto blocks for more space. We're going to walk that foot out at the same angle until we can roll up onto the heel, toes pull back. Spine lengthens forward. Hands to blocks if you're having trouble straightening the leg or if you want extra space. Lengthen your heart forward, sit bones draw back. Stay here, or exhale, walk the hands forward, maybe forearms drop down. Feel your breath here. One more deep breath in this position. Walking the hands all the way back in. We're going to rebend that front knee, wiggle the foot in a little bit, and then we're going to walk the foot around to the front, hands to either side of the foot. Walk the hands up onto that front leg, pull the hips to stack over that back knee, adjust the front foot however you need to feel more stable in this shape. Tail reaches down, front hip points lift up, and then from here, maybe take a little micro bend into that front knee. Sinking in, but keep the tail reaching down. It's super easy to collapse here and lose that lengthening effect. Hold it and breathe. Let's take a few more. And then slowly lower your hands back down to the ground. You're going to keep your left hand down, maybe use a block underneath it. Open up your ribs and chest, right hand to your knee, your hip, or all the way up. Maybe bend the back knee and catch the foot with your top hand, drawing it in, which is also going to open deeper into your quadriceps. Another breath or two. And then gently release the foot back down to the ground. Hand comes back down to frame the foot, with or without hands on blocks. Pull the hips back a little bit. Walk the front foot forward until you can roll up onto the heel, toes pulling back. Now, feel your sit bones start to pull back, lengthening your lower back, and then lengthen all the way out through your chest. Reach out through your heel and feel the toes pull back so you get the length into the lower part of the leg as well. Hands to blocks if you want them. Lengthen the spine. Deep breath in. Stay here or hinge over to go deeper. Few breaths in this position. You can stay here or lengthen your spine. And from here, wiggle your front foot forward, keep your hips squared, and lower yourself down into your split position while keeping your hips squared. Right side's a little tighter for me, so I'm going to take some support underneath that right sit bone. The top of that back foot stays down on the ground. Don't let it kick off to the side. Square the hips, lengthening the spine. Stay here or fold over your front leg. Let's take at least a couple more breaths here. And if you are fully supported in this shape, maybe walk the hands in and extend them all the way up over your head. And then slowly lower the hands. You're going to wiggle the front foot in until you can rebend the knees, set any props out of your way. Step it all the way back. And feel free to just shake everything out here. Okay, so we've worked a forward split setup for both sides. That's the way I really like to warm up and get prepared for those positions. So now we're going to work a little bit more towards the wide split. Since we already did some prep work for this, all we're going to do is work towards froggy pose and then give options for a full wide split. Your hips don't have to touch the ground to practice. So we are going to turn sideways on our mats. And this is really just so we have extra cushion underneath our knees as they start to widen and separate. You can provide extra cushion by rolling your mat back and bringing your knees onto that extra layer. You can also put a blanket down, or if you have carpet at home, that's great too. What we're going to do is we're going to walk the knees as wide apart as we can get them. So your knees are literally doing a wide split away from your hips. Then if your feet are towards each other, start to open up your feet, open up the legs until you have a 90-degree bend into your knees. Okay. Toes point out to the side. So they literally look like little frog legs. We don't want our hips to sink back behind our knees, and we don't want them to rock too far forward in front of our knees. We want them to stay nice and level, knee through hips, all the way to the other side. You can stay on your hands, or maybe lower your forearms onto blocks or down to the floor. Maybe open up the elbows and lower your chest towards the ground. Wherever you are, give yourself about 5 slow breaths. And then if you lower down, slowly start to walk yourself back up. We're going to start to walk the feet in and then walk the knees back in, shake out the legs. I'm going to give option to either doing that same variation again or going into a full extended leg variation, working towards the full wide split. It's entirely up to you. Okay. So once you're done shaking out, however it feels good, you can do the same setup, walk your knees wide, okay, and get that same leg positioning, begin to lower your upper body down, or start to extend the legs out wide, okay, so just the feet are on the ground. And then same thing, you can walk the feet as wide as you can get them. Try to keep the hips in the same line as your ankles, and maybe lower your arms down onto blocks or down to the floor. Deep breath, maybe the chest if you're feeling pretty open. Take 5 breaths wherever you are. Now to come out, you can either slide forward and out or come up onto your hands, walk the feet or knees back in, drop the knees once you can, make your way into a seated position, drop onto your hands, and shake out your legs. Whew, we did some good work today. If you do these motions on a regular basis, your splits will improve, okay? And any variation that we covered today is still the pose. So even if our hips aren't all the way on the ground, you're still doing the splits. You're just doing your variation of the splits. But it opens up the same areas in the same way. It's just progressively going deeper and deeper into it as your body opens. When you're ready, come up to any comfortable seat, spine up tall, close your eyes, take your hands at your heart. Exhale, let everything go. Take a slow breath in, fill up from the bottom to the top. And then just open up your mouth and let it go. One more time, just like that. Slow inhale. Open up the mouth and release. Seal the lips. Relax the muscles in your face. And just thank your body for all that it does for you and for wherever you are in your practice. Thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide today. Open up your eyes whenever you're ready. So hopefully this felt really good for you. Even if it feels really tight and can feel uncomfortable, as long as you're staying in your breath and you're staying within your physical threshold, and you'll know because you're still able to breathe, then you are going to feel some deep sensation here and work on that progression to continuously go deeper and deeper and feel more open in these positions. Splits can be really challenging, but once you know exactly kind of what we're opening, more through the back of the legs and through the front of the hips and quads, then you can slowly start to feel that progress over time. It might not feel great, but it feels as though you're getting that lengthening effect and creating more space in the body, especially in areas that are often very, very tight. So I would love to hear your feedback in the comments. Maybe share with someone you think may enjoy. Happy split progression, and I am looking forward to practicing with y'all again soon. Thanks so much.